I have pinched myself multiple times today, and Rafael Devers is still a San Francisco Giant. Let's break it down. Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of the Soder Report. My name is Kyle Soder, and today you're going to get a very optimistic and happy Kyle Soder with the news that just came in yesterday, a little over 24 hours ago. Yesterday, I was sitting on my couch watching the pregame on MLB Network, and all of a sudden, breaking news comes onto the screen, and it's Rafael Devers to the San Francisco Giants. I couldn't believe it. We're going to get into the Rafael Devers trade. You know me, what I think of. You know me, I'm going to break down the long-term effects, what it means in the grand scheme of things, rather than just what it means right now. We're going to talk about the trade compensation we gave up. We're going to talk about the length that Rafael Devers is here. And we're going to talk about the 2025 expectations for this team. I mentioned that I predicted this would be a 79-win team and 78-win team, but they would progress towards being a perennial contender in 26. Does the Rafael Devers change that? Hint, it's yes. And we're going to finish off with Buster Posey's legacy. First, we are going to shout out our sponsor, Elite Cacao. Head on over to elitecacao.com. Get your supplements for your focus, clarity, and healing. I'm currently studying for finals, and Elite Cacao has done me wonders. It really helps me focus in on my studying, and it helped me out at midterms. So head on over and get yours for better clarity today. All right. Let's talk about the biggest trade in the history of San Francisco Giants baseball. Rafael Devers traded to the San Francisco Giants in exchange for Kyle Harrison, Jordan Hicks, James Tibbs, and Jose Bello. Jose Bello? I don't know. He's not the biggest piece in the trade. So, what do I think of this deal? I am doing this deal 100 out of 100 times I get the opportunity to do this deal. For where the Giants are right now, 11 games over 500, needing a bat, this makes perfect sense. You give up Harrison, who is a promising prospect, but over the past couple of years hasn't broken through. You give up Hicks, which is sort of a broken vessel as of now. Give up James Tibbs, who was your first-round pick last year, but he's got a long way to go through the minor leagues. You don't know what happens in the next 4 years before he gets to the majors. And Jose Bello, we're not going to talk a lot about him. He wasn't a top 30 prospect in the Giants organization. Sort of just a throw-in piece. So, like I said, I think the San Francisco Giants got the best end of this deal here, getting Rafael Devers. I would make this deal. I was honestly surprised at how little they had to give up. I thought that the Red Sox would try to ask for a Birdsong or a Whisenhunt or both. So the fact that the two pitchers you give up are Kyle Harrison and Jordan Hicks, that's not bad at all. I'm completely fine with that. As much as I liked Kyle Harrison, as much as I saw the potential that he had, Hayden Birdsong is the better young pitcher. And Jordan Hicks is probably not going to be good for the rest of this year. He's probably going to need an off season to get back into closer shape. So really, you're really not giving up a lot for the next you're not giving up a lot. And I know that Rafael Devers was having some issues in the locker room. He was having some issues with ownership. But, I mean, in my opinion, the Red Sox needed to get more than that for Rafael Devers. I mean, it's insane. It's crazy. Like I said, I keep pinching myself, and it's for real. Rafael Devers is coming to the San Francisco Giants. So, I want to break down the contract and the length of his contract first, as well as the payroll for the San Francisco Giants at this time. So, before this trade, the San Francisco Giants were sitting at $220 million on the luxury tax. The first threshold of the luxury tax is at $241 million. So they had $21 million in space to make this deal, if they want to stay under the first luxury tax, of course. So Rafael Devers, I'm going to bring up his spot track right here so you can see for yourselves. So here's his current deal. It's $31 million on the payroll right now. We're not quite halfway through the season, but you can cut that almost in half. It's probably something like 18 million remaining, something like that. And then you see 27, 28.5, 28.5, 28.5, 28.5, and so on. And then he's got deferred money from 2034 to 2043. It's showing that the Red Sox pay in 2034 for some reason. Oh, here's the retained salary. So the Red Sox paid $11 million, leaving the Giants with $20 million. So there it is. So the Giants will be paying $4 million in 2035, $7.5 million from 2036 to 2043. So does this mean the Giants have exceeded the first luxury tax threshold? No, that's not what it means, because you gave up Kyle Harrison, Jordan Hicks, James Tibbs, and Jose Bayo. Now, 3 of those guys don't make a lot of money. Kyle Harrison only makes $760,000 a year, and then Tibbs and Bayo even less. But the notable one is Jordan Hicks, who is getting paid. The average annual value is $11 million per year. The next 2 years of his deal are $12.5 million. So you're getting rid of the $12.5 million, and you're taking on $27 million. So that means that's only a difference of quick math, $14.5 million. So that means that you're still $6.5 million under the first luxury tax. So the Giants aren't going to be paying any penalties for the luxury tax like they were last year. So that's and then you can expect by the time you can expect the luxury tax threshold to keep going up as time goes by. So that's the luxury tax implications for the San Francisco Giants. The other thing to note is obviously, as you can see, this is not a rental. You've got 10 years of Rafael Devers in San Francisco. From his year 28 season to his year 37 season. And he's probably going to be a DH for most of that time. You've got Bryce Eldridge coming up, who you would expect is not going to DH for this team. You would expect that he takes over at first, being a 21-year-old next year. You don't really want your 21-year-old DHing. That seems a little weird. So you would expect Rafael Devers to be a DH for the time he's with the Giants. Of course, he can play third base as needed. He can play first base as needed if someone needs an off day or if someone gets hurt, but you expect him to DH. Now, let's head over to Rafael Devers' stats. Let's take a look at his statistics year after year. Keep in mind, the San Francisco Giants have not had a 30 home run hitter since Barry Bonds in 2004. So this year, so far, he has 15 homers. He's hitting .272 with a .401 on-base percentage. He's got a .905 OPS. And they don't have weighted runs created plus here. So anyway, you can see he's one second. Bear with me for just a second. WRC plus. Nowhere? No WRC plus. Okay. That's alright. Okay. We can just focus on the standard batting. But as you can see, he has had 30 home run seasons in 2023, 2021, and 2019. So he was getting MVP votes in 5 of those seasons. He's just been a extremely good ball player for his entire career, really. And you would expect him to be right in the middle of the Giants order as he comes to San Francisco. You would expect him to bat. I would probably expect him to bat 4th, maybe 3rd, but he's going to be right in the middle of that order. I would expect it to be something like Jung-Hoo Lee batting 1st, and then you can probably put Willy Adames 2nd, Heliot Ramos 3rd, Rafael Devers 4th. And then that kicks Chapman back to 5th, where, he's sort of better suited, in my opinion. But this is just an all-around good trade, like I said, from Buster's part. I honestly think that I personally would have been able to give up more to get Rafael Devers. And I critique ownership a lot on this show. I think ownership has shown that they are extremely cheap. I have to give them credit here. You go out, you've exceeded the luxury tax last year, and you're willing to pay out $250 million remaining of Rafael Devers' contract. So what I like about this is the return you're getting exceeds what you're giving up. He's not a rental, so this isn't just a move for 2025. It's 2025 and beyond. It makes the team better well into the future. And it's not going to cost you too much. By the time you get rid of Jordan Hicks' contract, the luxury tax threshold goes up, and $28.5 million doesn't look so bad for a guy that's hitting 35 homers a year. I should mention that on the broadcast yesterday, they showed Rafael Devers' hit chart, his extra base hits. So far this year, he's got 15 homers, and then he has 18 doubles. And on the broadcast, they said that 11 of those doubles would be home runs in Oracle Park. I don't know if that's taking into account weather conditions. I would expect it doesn't. But Rafael Devers' opposite field power should play in San Francisco just as good as it does in Boston. So you don't expect this guy to get oracled. He's going to hit just as well in San Francisco as he does in Boston. Okay. So, moving on to 2025 expectations. I have been Mr. Figure out what you have in your system in 2025, build for 2026, become a perennial contender in 2027. That's been my point of view all season long. This changes everything. The San Francisco Giants are not a team that is competing for a third wildcard spot anymore. They should not be a team competing for a third wildcard spot. In fact, I'm going to bring up the playoff odds. And the San Francisco Giants currently have a 64.6% chance of making the playoffs. 2 games behind the Dodgers, who are currently losing to the Padres in Shohei Ohtani's first start. Ha ha. Timu Jung-Hoo Lee. But this Rafael Devers trade should solidify the Giants as a bona fide playoff team. Now, before they got Rafael Devers, they were a fringe playoff team. But if you would have told me before they got Rafael Devers that they would make the playoffs, I would say that the San Francisco Giants would be an extremely tough out in the playoffs, simply because in a 3-game series, you're going to have Logan Webb and Robbie Ray going in 2 of those games. So you would probably expect the Giants to win 2 of those games. Put them up against anyone. Put them up against the Dodgers. We saw the Los Angeles Dodgers struggle to hit Logan Webb. So now that they have Rafael Devers, I think the San Francisco Giants, I'm not going to say that the expectation for the 2025 San Francisco Giants is a World Series ring. But if you told me they won a World Series in 2025, I would not be shocked. I think this is a team that's absolutely capable of winning a World Series in 2025. I think they're a team that's capable of winning the National League West in 2025. I think the Dodgers are getting old. They're getting fragile. They're overpaid. And I hate them. The Giants are a young team. They're on the rise. They just got one of the best bats in the game. They've got the best pitching room as a whole, starters and bullpen, in the game currently. They've got all their pitchers under control. The San Francisco Giants are not going anywhere. The San Francisco Giants are here to stay. And it's really exciting as a San Francisco Giants fan to have a team that is a legitimate contender for the first time in almost 10 years. It's been almost 10 years since we've had a truly competitive team. I mean, we had 2021, but it's pretty obvious now to say that was a fluke. That's got to be studied as that's got to be studied. It probably shouldn't have happened, but it did. Nothing came of it, but But the 2025 San Francisco Giants should make the playoffs. That is the new expectation. They should win 90 games. They should make the playoffs. So, once you make the playoffs, and you've got Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, and you've got a middle of the order of Adames, Chapman, and Devers, who knows how far that can take you? I mean, yeah, they're a real baseball team again for the first time in a very long time. Now, I wouldn't expect this to be the last move that the Giants make. I would hope that Buster Posey makes another move at the deadline. Because if you pencil Devers into this lineup, it looks way better than it was before, but the lineup was putrid as of 36 hours ago. It was an awful lineup. I mean, we almost set a franchise record for most games without scoring 5 runs. So it was a horrible lineup before, and now it's okay. Rafael Devers turns it into an okay lineup from a horrible one. So there have been some reports that the Giants are calling about Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez. I don't find either of those people likely, both because of position and because they're in the division. It's just not... It wouldn't make sense for the Diamondbacks to do an interdivisional trade right now, especially with all the young pieces they have under control. And it also wouldn't make sense for the Giants to trade for any of those players because there's no positional need there. So they probably have to look elsewhere. And in my opinion, Carson Whisenhunt is a guy that I'd be willing to trade. He's been in AAA for a really long time. He was the Giants' number 1 prospect until Bryce Eldridge emerged last year. And frankly, I think he's a little bit overrated. He's got an 80 grade changeup that's the highest grade that you can get on a pitch. It's up to an 80 on the scale, so an 80 grade changeup is the best changeup you can throw. But all his other stuff is average. He doesn't have another above average pitch. It's all average to below average. So, I don't know. I don't really get the hype behind Carson Whisenhunt, and I'd be okay moving off of him for someone under contract for the rest of 25 as well as 26. I would prefer that they don't go with a rental. Yesterday I was extremely opposed to a rental. Now it makes a little bit more sense. But I would still prefer that you have him under contract for more than just the rest of this year. Especially if you're giving up the number 2 prospect in your system. So that's how I feel. Even though the Giants are a playoff team in 2025, even though they could compete for a World Series in 2025, I'm still not ready to push all of the chips in. I don't think they're that kind of team yet. The 2023 49ers were that kind of team. The 2022 49ers were that team when they acquired Christian McCaffrey. The 2025 Giants, they're a good team. They're definitely a good team. But they're not that kind of team. They're not a early 2020s 49ers kind of team. They're on the upswing, but they're not there yet. Okay, so last of all, there's been a lot of talk about Buster Posey's legacy. What does this mean for Buster Posey's legacy? Now, he's a Hall of Fame catcher, as we know, and nothing that he does as a general manager is going to overshadow who he was as a Hall of Fame catcher. He could turn this team into the worst team in the National League for the next 10 years. And everyone would still remember him as a catcher that won 3 World Series and an MVP. He could win the next 10 World Series, and people would still remember him as a Hall of Fame catcher who won 3 World Series and an MVP. So, nothing that he does as president of baseball operations is going to affect his image in San Francisco baseball history. It might to the die-hard baseball fans who pay attention to the front office, but that's really not for everyone. It's not for a lot of people. It's only for the diehards. But this does tell us a little bit. This does give us a significant data point into who Buster Posey is as a president of baseball operations. Farhan Zaidi was always too scared to make the big move. There is no way that Farhan Zaidi would have made this move. He would give up cash considerations for Mike Yastrzemski and cash considerations for Thairo Estrada and Lamont Wade Jr. But he never had the confidence to go and make a move this big. And Buster Posey does. The other thing we know already is Buster Posey has the ability to sign the big free agent. I know we're not super happy with Willy Adames so far, but I think most people agree that he's going to come around and he's going to be a good franchise shortstop. Farhan Zaidi, he would never get the big free agent. He would always match the offer that the Yankees or the Dodgers were giving. And who was going to choose the 2020 San Francisco Giants over the Dodgers and the Yankees? No one was. So he wasn't willing to pay the crap tax for the free agents. Personally, I think he's a bit of a odd personality. So I don't know how well he meshed with those free agents. Him and Kapler, jeez. Talk about a weird room. They should put, I don't know if you guys have seen those memes of who would you want to sit between on a plane, and it shows a bunch of weird personalities. They should put Farhan Zaidi and Gabe Kapler on one of those. I wouldn't want to sit next to him. But anyway, that aside, Buster's a lot more relatable to players. He's a lot more likable. He commands respect that Farhan Zaidi never did. And I think that he commands respect from ownership, because would ownership have allowed Farhan Zaidi to give $187 million to Willy Adames? Would ownership have allowed Farhan Zaidi to take on all of Rafael Devers' $250 million? I don't know the answer to that question, but I think I can speculate and say the answer would be no. I don't think that Farhan had the confidence from the ownership group to be able to do that, to have that freedom. And Buster Posey does, because they know him. They know him as a person, and he's a likable person. He's got a great personality. He's a likable personality. Now, I do want to say before I shut this podcast down for the night, there is one way that this goes south. And that is that Rafael Devers gets into town and he continues being toxic. I mentioned earlier that he wasn't the best dugout personality. I think there are certain teams that can afford to have one or two malcontents. I think of the Baltimore Ravens. Who did they just draft? They just drafted Mike Green, who had 2 sexual assault accusations. That's the sort of locker room that can help keep him in check, I guess. But if you fill your locker room with those kind of guys, then you get the Cleveland Browns. A team that should be really good, but just never is. And it just feels weird, and you don't want to root for them because it's full of these grown men who make poor life decisions. I think Buster Posey has done a good job so far of building a culture that can absorb a single malcontent. Hopefully Rafael Devers gets here. He looks Buster Posey in the eye. Buster tells him he's playing first base or DH, wherever. And he just says, "Aye, aye, Captain." But hopefully he has the respect for Buster Posey to do that. If not, hopefully he sees all 25 other guys in the locker room who have a good culture established, a good winning culture, a good selfless culture, and he buys into that. So the only way that this could go south is if Rafael Devers continues to be a malcontent and refuses to do what's best for the team because he's not playing third base. He's a better hitter than Matt Chapman. He's not a better defender. Not even close. And then next year you've got Bryce Eldridge coming up. So he's probably going to be a DH most of the time. Maybe this year he could play first, but once Eldridge gets here, he's going to be playing the field. So that's the only way that this could go south. I know that Willy Adames is one of his best friends. Willy Adames seems to be best friends with everyone. But that's the only way that I could see this trade not working out. They say there was a report that came out that said that Buster Posey and Bob Melvin would talk to Rafael Devers once he got to San Francisco. I hope that conversation's already been had behind closed doors, to be completely honest. I don't think you should make this trade unless you have talked to him, even if it's bending the rules, so to speak. I think every team bends the rules. I know that baseball is supposed to be a much more noble sport than the NFL, but I think this is a situation where you have to have a member of the San Francisco Giants organization talk to Rafael Devers before you make this trade. So if they didn't do that, and if he gets here and he doesn't want to comply, then it's disaster. And I would criticize the San Francisco Giants for making that trade without talking to him first. But hopefully they did. Hopefully nothing gets out. Hopefully no drama comes of it. And hopefully Rafael Devers is just Rafael Devers as a hitter, because the lineup needs it desperately. So anyway, I was wanting to get to a big season, a full picture of the season as a whole. The Giants continue to exceed my expectations. I think that they continue to do so. I think they make the playoffs. We'll break down the season as a whole at a later time, but until then, peace.